Alright, good afternoon, guys. This is going to be Statics Exam 2 review, covering chapters 4, 5, and 6. The problems we're going to be going over is 4.27, 4.28. You can look at also anything on page 246. That's going to be some of your chapter 5 problems. Feel free to work any of those that you want. I'm going to be covering chapter 5, number 5.3, 5.8, and then chapter 6, 6.9, and 6.10. And the chapter 6, we're going to be using method of joints and method of sections. And we will go through those as we get there. So to start off, we're going to start at number 4.27. 4.27 is a simple frame with a pin at A and a roller at E, given at some angle alpha. They ask us to find the reactions at A and E when alpha is 30 degrees and alpha is 45 degrees. I'm only going to do the work for the 30 degrees. To do the 45, all you do is the exact same math, plugging in 45 instead of 30 for alpha. So to look at a free body diagram, we have a pin at A, so we're going to have a reaction force at AX and AY, and we're going to have our force at E at that angle alpha. Now their angle alpha, they give us to it from the horizontal at E. But if we know the law of interior angles, that angle is also going to be right here at alpha from the vertical. So to start it all off, we need to do the sum of forces. So we'll do sum of forces in the x is equal to 0. Always state which direction you're stating is positive. We have AX minus 20 pounds plus force E. Now we got to look at which direction or which sine or cosine is associated with the x plane. So in this case, we're looking at this point right here. The opposite of that alpha is going to be sine. So we're going to use sine alpha is equal to 0. Now we're going to do a sum of forces in the y is equal to 0. We have positive AY. By the way, state which positive direction you were stating. But we have positive AY minus 20 pounds plus force FE. Now we need to see which side is going to be associated with the vertical. Vertical is going to be right here, which is going to be our cosine. Cosine alpha is equal to 0. Now if you look at this, we have two unknowns and two equations, so we have too many. We can't even put it into a matrix, it won't do us any good. So we need to take a moment. So we're going to take a moment, sum of moments. We're going to take it about the point that's going to take away the most unknown reactions or unknown forces. So at this point, it's going to be A. It's equal to 0. I'm going to state that it's going to be positive in the counterclockwise direction. We're going to have a negative 20 pound force, which is given right here. It's going to be a clockwise rotation about A. Its perpendicular distance is going to be 10 inches. Now we're going to have this 20 pound force, also causing a negative moment, times this perpendicular distance, 3 inches. And now we're going to have our force E. Our force E is going to be causing about a positive moment, force FE, times its perpendicular distance. So we're going to be using this on this one. It's going to be sine alpha times that one's perpendicular distance, which is going to be the x direction. So it's going to be 8 inches plus FE again, cosine alpha, times that perpendicular distance. So our cosine is this point right here, so its perpendicular distance from A is going to be this 5 inches. All equal to 0. We need to go ahead and simplify this equation down so that we can solve for FE. Now to solve for FE, we can put it in common factors. We have FE is the common factor times the sine of alpha times 8 inches plus cosine alpha times 5 inches, all equal to our negative 20 times 10 minus 20 times 3, which is negative 260. Bring it over to the other side, we get a positive 260 pound inches. Divide 260 by sine alpha times 8 and cosine 5, we get force FE to equal, now remember our alpha is 30 degrees at this point. So we're going to have 260 divided by sine 30 times 8. Sorry, I'm putting it on my calculator just to make sure I get my math right. Plus cosine 30 times our 5 inches. We get force Fe to be 31 point, oh, let me change my color back, 31.2 pounds. Okay. Now we have our Fe. We can go ahead and solve for A of x and A of y. So our AX is going to be equal to negative Fe sine of 30 degrees plus 20 pounds. And our AY is going to be negative Fe cosine 30 degrees plus 20 pounds. So plugging in our value, we have a negative 32.2 pounds sine of 30 plus 20 pounds. We get AX to be 4.394 pounds. And solving the same equation for Fe to find A of y, we get negative 32.2 cosine of 30 plus 20. We get a negative 7.03 pounds. And that is the answer for number 4.27. Frames are going to be pretty straightforward, pretty simple. They're not going to be too much of a hassle. As long as you know how to work out your angles and your trig, you'll be just fine. And that will be all to it. If there's any point you get confused, lost, or if I went too fast, feel free to pause the video so you can catch up. And if you have any other remaining questions, feel free to shoot me an email or a text, and I will be happy to help. Thanks, and stay tuned for the next following videos for chapters 4, 5, and 6.